The questionnaire is well planned, and each and every question that is going to be asked to the customer, open-ended question like how do you feel about a particular service. A questionnaire can have both an open-ended question and also a closed-ended question. Identify the scope of your research. Good morning and welcome to the session 3 in unit 3, where we are in business research methods, where we are going to talk about a very important topic called as the questionnaire form and design. Now let's go further and try to understand what is a questionnaire all about. A questionnaire is a research instrument that consists of a set of questions or other type of prompts that aims to collect information from a respondent. Now look at this important topic. Why? Because questionnaire is said to be the first and the foremost tool for any researcher who is able to use this and he is able to get his required answers. Now, the research questionnaire is typically a mix of closed-ended questions and open-ended questions. So this is very important for us. A questionnaire would not be the same thing where it will have only one type of questions or it will have only one structured question. A questionnaire can have both an open-ended question and also a closed-ended question. Now, moving further, some of the examples of questionnaire that is very prominently spoken about is a customer satisfaction questionnaire, a product use satisfaction, or about the company's communication evaluation questionnaire. Now, the main aim of questionnaire is that it will try to understand a specific topic and it will try to collect the feedback regarding that customer satisfaction, regarding the product usage, or how the company is performing. So what questionnaire typically tries to do here is that it collects all the components and varies and understands what can be done in terms of getting up the respective values, followed by what are the advantages of a well-designed questionnaire. The first advantage is that with survey questionnaire, you can gather a lot of data in less time. Now, this is very important for a researcher because the time constraint is there in any research. We will not be able to collect data individually. So using a questionnaire, a researcher will be able to collect lot of data within a given time format. Second thing is that there is a very less chance in bias creeping into you if you have a standard set of questions to be used to your target audience. You can apply the logic to the questions based on the respondent answers, but the questionnaire will remain a standard for a group of respondents who fall on the same segment. So using one particular standard questionnaire and applying the logic to that, you will be able to get multiple answers. You will be able to get a diversified pattern altogether, though the standard format of the questionnaire will continue to remain. Surveying online software is very quick. Why? Because it is also cost effective and it offers you a rich set of features: design, distribute, analyze all together. So this will be the next level, next understanding altogether, where you will be able to verify, understand it, and take it forward in terms of gathering your data and getting an effective result for your research. Moving further, it can be customized to reflect your brand voice. That is very important, and thus it can be used to reinforce your brand image. So today, when you are talking about branding, when you want your companies to reach the next level as far as possible, so this is where the questionnaire will help you, because it will help you to design, understand the factors very clearly, and the responses that you are able to get with the historical data will make you understand the shift in respondents' choice and and experiences. So all these factors will matter a lot when it comes in terms of understanding the data. Followed by respondents can answer to the questionnaire without revealing their identity. Also, there are many software complies with the significant factors of the privacy and the regulations altogether. So now what is happening is that it can be customized first of all to get the exact image value. The responses are compiled and compared with the historical data. So what has happened previously, how people have answered to it. So there can be a shift that can be understood if there is a change in data. Respondents can also answer the questionnaire without revealing the identity. So that is also very, very interesting for all of us to understand, because that can give us a lot of input. Followed by the characteristics of a very good questionnaire starts with the uniformity, followed by the exploratory. Let's first try to understand what is uniformity. Uniformity of questionnaires are very, very helpful in terms of collecting demographic information, personal opinions, facts, or attitudes from respondents. One of the most significant factor that we keep talking about is the attributes of this uniform research, which is very, very important these days. Why? Because whenever we talk about this, this will provide you a kind of image. It's kind of giving you the segmentation very, very clearly. This is what we are exactly looking, and this is how the segment can give you a lot of value altogether. Followed by the exploratory research altogether. It should be exploratory, where you are able to collect a qualitative data. The aim of any questionnaire is to dig into the minds of the consumer, minds of the audience, try to collect as much of qualitative data, which can be of a great help to the researcher in terms of compiling the results. So in a long run, we need to understand that this can give us a lot of benefit, a lot of thinking, by which we will be able to gather better data, better analysis, and better understanding altogether. Moving further, the question sequence that comes into picture. It is typically followed by a structured flow of questions that increases the number of responses, that increases the number of questions altogether. This sequence of questions in terms of understanding the warm-up questions, basically trying to make the customer get ready to answer exactly as determined, will also help you. There are a lot of challenging questions and the classification based questions, so that will be able to help the customer exactly to answer, and you will be able to get a result according to your research. Followed by structured questions altogether. Structured questions are one which collect quantitative data. That's very, very important. The questionnaire is well planned, and each and every question that is going to be asked to the customer, to the target audience, is designed in a particular way. It also initiates a formal inquiry, supplements the data, checks previously accumulated data, and it will help in the validation process. So whenever we talk about a structured data or a structured questionnaire, it helps us to take into a lot of formalities, design it properly, and then understand how to move further in terms of the question answer altogether. So this is a very, very important function for all of us. With that, we also move to the unstructured questions. Now, unstructured questions are again qualitative. They use a basic structure and some of the branching question that limits the respondents. Now, these questions, when we talk about it, these questions are more open-ended to collect specific data from the participants. So that is where, if you see the qualitative data, you will be able to collect a lot of answers and questions without even getting into any format of structuring in terms of the questions. So you can just over a period of time ask it very, very casually, which will help you to understand the qualitative factors. Now, for example, you want to know about ambience, you want to know about taste, or you want to know about a particular feature of a product or service. An unstructured question is always welcome, because that will help the customer to loosen his mind, to come more forward in terms of answering according to his taste and choice. Followed by the types of questions that are going to be in a questionnaire. You can have an open-ended question like, how do you feel about a particular service? The second thing, dichotomous, both yes and no type of question. Multiple choice question where you give A, B, C, D options. Then you can have scaling questions like the Likert scale, which says very good, good, average, not so good, or bad kind of scaling. Pictorial questions, which is also very, very important, where you can give images, emojis, which will help the customers to also understand and rate your questionnaire accordingly. So these are the types of questions that you can enroll yourself, you can put in yourself in terms of designing a particular questionnaire. Followed by the steps involved in the questionnaire design. What are the steps that a researcher has to follow in terms of making the questionnaire more effective? The first thing I would say is that identify the scope of your research. What is the identification? What is the exact research all about? Is the scope of the research well defined? Is it well defined under the parameters of what you are looking into? So based on that, you need to set in a question paper. You need to set in a questionnaire. Why? Because most of the time what happens is that the researcher might think something and the questionnaire might reflect something else. That should not happen. So if you have identified your research, the scope in which you are going to do it, then automatically you will be able to come forward and keep up the questionnaire to the best level possible. Next, keep it simple as far as possible. The words and phrases used should be very, very simple in nature so that it is understandable. You might be a researcher, well qualified, well knowledgeable in terms of the usage of words. But when the respondent is going to go through your questionnaire, he has to find the questionnaire simple enough to answer back. So that is why I would say that keep the questionnaire very simple. Use simple words that are understandable, that are meaningful, and that will be able to give you the data that you require. Followed by ask only one question at a time. At times what happens is that the researcher gets more enthusiastic, so he tries to combine multiple questions because he wants the answer as quick as possible. But that is not a good way of designing a questionnaire. What we need to do is that we need to ask one question at a time. We need to find out if those questions can be answerable, go step by step, then start moving the questionnaire design in such a format that you are able to get the correct answer or the values. Followed by be very, very flexible with your option. Don't try to make the questionnaire very rigid. Don't try to make it a tight water component where you go ahead and say either it should be this or that. No, let's give some options to the respondents. Let's make them understand very clearly what are the things that we are looking about so that the person can also come back with a true picture of what he has understood. Several times we might feel that this is good, this is bad, but then that is not what we are looking into. We are looking into a structure, we are looking into a system that has got a better understanding altogether. Now, the open-ended or the closed-ended question is a tough choice. I would always say it's a tough choice. Why? Because the survey might create up and end up in a situation where you have only two distinct choices. If I'm just going to ask you the question to be answered in the form of yes or no, a binary kind of a situation, automatically you might not get the exact answer because every time an yes or no will not be able to suffice the exact answer. So that's why I would always say an open-ended question is quite difficult for all of us to follow. So let's not go by the open-ended question. Let's go by the factor of how this open-ended question can be looked forward in a much more better manner. It is essential to know your audience. That's very, very important. For example, when we are going to talk about the target audience and mostly they are Spanish in nature, sending the questionnaire in any other language will definitely lower the response. So you need to know what language your audience speak, and if you are able to design a questionnaire accordingly, then that would be great enough because you will be able to get the exact value. So that's why I would always say that you need to know exactly the language that is spoken up by your audience. And if your audience are able to accept you as it has been designed, then automatically you will be able to get a very, very accurate result. With this, I come to the end of this particular session. I hope and believe that this session was of a great help and resource to you. In the upcoming sessions, we will be talking more about the different methods of scaling and the techniques that are going to be used in the business research methodology. Until then, stay tuned, stay blessed, and stay enlightened forever. Thank you once again for joining me on this wonderful session.